you can shape who you are, like it's not written in stone who you are. So whatever you think of yourself, whatever you aspire to be, like you can do that if you really want to do it again, and the really want to is the most important piece in here, right?
Turn this up. Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Faronbi, aka IncrediPaul, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where I talk to incredible people doing incredible things so we can become the most incredible versions of ourselves. First off, thank you for listening to this episode, but I also want you to know that you could also watch this episode on YouTube. Regardless if you're listening or watching this episode, thank you so much for your support. Today, I have the honor of having Mireia Mujika on the show. She's a leadership strategist, executive coach, and founder of Bare&Brave. With 18 years of experience across Europe and the Middle East, she helps senior leaders and teams grow their self-awareness, elevate their effectiveness, and lead with purpose. Mireia blends proven leadership frameworks with things that can cause incredible transformations. That was just a little bit about you, Mireia, and I think I got your name right, but you will say it the correct way. How about you introduce yourself the way you would do it?
You have my name right. So Mireia, I'm coming from I always suffer here when I have to introduce myself. Like, I don't know if I should just give my biography or not. So let me just go with...
Or as little as you want. Whatever you want to do.
So I'm coming from the north of Spain. My background actually is in digital product management, but so I came to Dubai 13 years ago, and I've been doing leadership coaching and training. And when we're talking about leadership coaching, it's also individual coaching and collective coaching, right? So that we can improve the leadership not only individually, but also in a collective, right? In a team, in an organization. So that's mainly what we do. I have a company called Bare&Brave, and we are like a small boutique company that we focus on leadership.
Yeah, so talk to me about how you even decided you wanted to do leadership coaching. Have you always been passionate about leadership? Talk me through this journey.
I didn't really decide it. It was not a conscious decision at all, Paul. This was something that came in and has been evolving. So I used to do digital product management. When I arrived in Dubai, I arrived with a job to join a tech company, doing product management. And then I had my first kid, and I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do the rest of my life. Everything changed in me, right? Like this identity crisis that I had. And then I was like, well, I think coaching is something that I would like to explore. And I obviously took a course myself on life coaching. I got certified as a coach, and I was like, this is something that I really enjoy, and I do see myself doing this for I don't know if the rest of my life, but at least for a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
I was like, this is something that really, there's something here. But I started as a life coach because that's what I needed at that time, right? And then
we all.
But then I went on how do I take this to the corporate world? Because I actually really enjoyed my corporate life and job. So I was like, how do I go back with this? How do I bring self-awareness and all these things that we talk about in coaching to the corporate world? And then that's when I said okay, so let me check into executive coaching. Let me check into leadership circle profile, which is a beautiful framework that I use a lot. And also ORSC, which is systemic coaching, systems coaching, or team coaching. Right? And on the way, I was like, well, I think actually my niche is leadership. I know that it's very broad, but on the other hand, this is not right. It's very broad because I think when we do life coaching, we are also doing leadership, right? I mean, it's about leading yourself. So leadership is very broad. I try to put there a way into, okay, how can we improve our leadership when we are working in a company, right? Whether it is individual or collective again. So that's how I did leadership. I started with leadership coaching, or that's where I am. But as I told you, I think this goes evolving, right? And right now, for example, I was like, I think I want to bring more of the well-being parts into the coaching that I do. Yeah. So that's where I am right now. And it will evolve, yes.
What was that last part of what you said?
That I'm thinking that I'm very passionate about well-being. I have always been, right? I always have done lots of sports since I'm a child. I have always been taking care of my health. So right now I'm in that, I think, pivotal moment where I'm like, how do I integrate all this, which is something so important and so basic for me? How do I integrate it in the coaching that I do and that I offer to my clients, right? So that's something that I'm trying to discover how I do.
Okay. So when you say well-being, is it more focused on like the physical, the mental, or
Well,
the
right. I think we cannot separate them. I think when you're physically doing well, when you're exercising, that improves your mental health, right? And the same goes on the other way around. So it's both. It has to be both. But yeah, I'm like, for me, there's like some pillars there, right? Like sleeping, eating, exercise, grounding yourself, or taking that time to rest, right? So all these things, how do we integrate them in leadership team? How do we do that, right? So I think there must be an answer there, and that's something that I'm trying to discover now.
Yeah, no, I really like that you brought that up because that's something I've been a little bit more intentional about, definitely over the last 2 years, but the last year especially, I've been very intentional about the well-being piece because I don't think, or maybe let me know if you agree or not. I don't think we talk about the well-being piece of leadership nearly as much. We focus on the success and the accolades and are the people doing well, but then it, what is an out what comes out of the people doing well is if the leader is healthy, like whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things are kind of they lead to a result of the people being well and the organization being healthy.
Exactly, exactly. And it has to be sustainable in time, right? I have worked with teams that, if they work in projects, this is a very good one, right? So they work in projects. So during the project, I think they have to deliver. They're just giving everything, right? And they start eating badly and they start sleeping less because they are stressed out and blah, 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 blah. Then they deliver. And then the next week, that's a disaster. No one comes to the office because everyone is feeling sick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this happens, right? So how do we sustain this during a long period of time without having those peaks and those downs? And the same happens for like CEOs, for example, right? I see many C-level people are stressed out all the time, giving too much. And it's like, hey, and I guess that is the reason why also you have like a CEO or a president of a state, a country for 4 years up there, and then they have to leave because it's unsustainable. How we are doing right now, leadership is not sustainable. It's just not. It's very difficult to be there all the time, giving everything, taking so much responsibility, knowing the impact that you have, unless if you are aware of the impact that you have, right? So then how do we change that so that it is sustainable, so that these people don't burn out, so that these people are in a good place day in, day out? It's something that I'm talking to many people about at the moment, just to see what is a possible solution there, right? What is a possible change that we can implement in companies?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of want to stick on this for a second because I know you mentioned the sleep and rest, and that is something that I have to like remind myself to do at times because I do a lot of different things and I'm really passionate about all the things I do. Not all of them, most of the things I do. And so sometimes I realize I'm not resting, and I think I get to a point that I get tired and then I start to rest. Over the last few months, I've been more intentional about not even getting to that point. And then, because I'm the type of person, and maybe you can relate to this, that when I'm not doing something, sometimes I feel guilty. And it's like, it's okay not to have something that you need to do? Like some of that, yeah. How do you feel about that?
The guilt part, I think it's always there in me as well, right? But sometimes I force myself. So the other day, this week, I had a September that it was practically fully booked every day. It was crazy September. It's also because July, August here in Dubai is quite, people leave the country, right? Because it's just too hot. So then, everything stops, it slows down. So then September, everyone wants to go back, right? And there I go as well. And it's been crazy. And this Monday, I was like, you know what? I'm going for a run. And then after the run, I do lots of sport normally, but what I don't do, and this is what I did on Monday, after the run, I went to the pool. I laid down on a float, this, how you call it in English? Like this the floaties, like a floatable debug, like floating beds, for example. I don't know how you call it.
Like an inflatable, maybe.
Inflatable, yeah, I like that. I lay down there and I put something to listen. I think it was a podcast. And I was like there for 45 minutes. I couldn't believe I could actually manage that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I've been here for 45 minutes. This is a big achievement. Well done.
There you go.
I think we need to have that. I know some people who actually have it in their calendar, time to do nothing. And I think that's a really good one. And I think that is something that I want to implement for myself. Just time to do nothing. Like at least once every month, in my calendar. Yeah, sounds good.
No, I definitely agree with that. And it was a guest I have like a while ago, like over 2 years ago at this point. And she was talking about having boring breaks. And it's not like they're not really long. I think they're supposed to be like 5, 10, maybe it was 15 minutes. I think it was 15 minutes. But I said maybe I could do 5 minutes. And even I didn't even do 5 minutes. But it was just a time to unplug and truly do nothing. Like you're not listening to anything. You're you're still thinking about things, but just a time to just kind of basically ground yourself. I think it's the best way to do it. And I think the challenge is she was supposed to do that once a week, but sometimes you get distracted about different things. And I challenged myself to start doing it. And then I just couldn't do it. And then I just kind of stopped doing it. But I think part of it just comes from, I think it comes from being inundated with so many things that are happening in not only your personal life, but just in the world, that when you are not doing stuff, it can feel like you're disconnected.
Disconnected, yeah. Or you're not doing as much as you could be doing or you should be doing, right? Like, as you were saying before, right? That guilt of like, oh my God, I can actually do more. Why don't I do more? So these are things that we have been programmed for, right? Produce. Mm-hmm. So it is up to us also to say like, look, let's stop and let's do nothing. And you realize that even when I told my story, I was still listening to a podcast, right? Could I have been there for 45 minutes without listening to a podcast? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know. For myself, it would be really hard for me to be somewhere 45 minutes, not doing anything and not fall asleep.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, right? We are not, therefore we fall asleep.
Yeah, definitely fall asleep. I think that's good. I want to learn more about what you do specifically with Bare&Brave, because I know you mentioned you work a lot with people in the C-suite. Has that always been the case? Or I guess who are the people you typically help, and has that changed over the year?
I have very, very different clients. So normally when we work with a team, we normally work with a leadership team. Because, if you change things in the leadership team, that this will cascade, will go down, right, on the ranks. So then we always go and tackle the leadership team, because the executive team, this is the one that will make change happen. So obviously when we do that, we work with the C-level people. C-level, sometimes you can find also VPs. So let's say that the standard leadership team, which normally is like in a company, normally is like 12 to 16 people, right? And then I also work with managers. So I'll go for like, okay, so how do we prepare these people to do the next step, right? Going from manager or from not also having anyone to, not having any direct reportee to having direct reportees. So this is a big change in people that many times, like no one, normally we don't get prepared for that. And suddenly you go your direct reportee and you go like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? What is expected from me? No one tells us, right? So we help during that change as well. And then also, like I have, for example, I have right now, this is my second year working with them. It's young people. These are people that are in the age of 20 to 30 people that come to Dubai with a scholarship, and they stay here for 9 months, and then they are trained to become consultants. So this is a lot of fun. I really like it. I love working with these young people as well. I learn a lot from them, from the world that they are living right now, right? Because I'm 43 already, so there is a gap in there. So I love getting into the culture that they are living right now. So as you see, we have different types of clients.
I love that. So there's definitely a dynamic between some of the C-suite leaders, some of the VPs, and then senior managers to helping people who are not necessarily going to have leadership titles, but they are going to lead.
Exactly.
I think we'll come back to the senior leaders. I want to hone in on the people we're helping in the 20 to 30 range, because that's like well within my audience, kind of like the Gen Z and younger millennials of the world. What are some things, because I'm glad you kind of mentioned the fact that a lot of these people, when they come into their first leadership position, they're not getting trained. So now I know it's not just an American thing. This is happening. They're not getting trained. It's everywhere. So I guess what are some things you're seeing as you are talking to them or learning from them that maybe some of the senior leaders are not aware of?
Well, one thing I see a lot, and I get really surprised, is this feeling that they have that they are not ready, that they are not good enough. And this really hits me because it's like, hey, if you're here, it's because of a reason, like you have made all the way here. No one gave you just this opportunity, no one came into your house, like knock your door and say like, hey, you want this opportunity? No, you're here for a reason. You made yourself come here. So why are you now doubting yourself so much, right? Because we always have that feeling that, we're not good enough. But sometimes I see that this is too excessive. Like, you're here for a reason. Believe in yourself. All these people have approved that you are here in this position. So just trust yourself and trust these people as well. And go ahead, and you'll see what happens. And if you need help, shout. And this is also something that I don't see so much happening. They feel they need help, but they are not so eager to ask for it. So that's something that is at least what I see. I don't know if this is happening everywhere, but this is what I see at the moment. What else? I think the self-awareness that these people have is much higher than the one that we used to have. So I think that's something that has improved a lot in this. They are much more aware of who they are, what they like, what they don't like, what are they asking for in the company that they are working for. What do they need? I think comparing our generation, I don't know your generation, my generation, comparing my generation to this generation now, this is, I think, a big difference, right? They know what they want from the company. And they know that like there has to be alignment with their values and integrity and all that, right? I think we were like, let's just go and get a job, let's get paid, right? So I think these are certain things that I see.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. And I think we're like pretty much in the same generation. So I'm 31. So I think I think you're a millennial, basically.
I was quite
Yeah. On the cusp of millennial. We'll just, for this example, you're a millennial. We're in the same generation. But I would definitely agree with what you're saying about the feelings of not thinking that they deserve something that they were appointed to, it's interesting. And I don't know if that comes with the self-awareness that you're too self-aware to the point where you know certain things about yourself that maybe other people aren't seeing about you, that you overlook all the things that people are seeing about you that brought you into an opportunity?
Wow, that's such a good point, Paul. That may be it. Yeah, that's a good point. Too much is self-awareness.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just something that just came to me right now. So maybe we can try and unpack this just for a moment, because
yeah. The imposter syndrome.
because I think the self-awareness piece, you can be self-aware, but you are not necessarily the self-responsibility piece where you're actually wanting to change things. Because there's the difference between the self-awareness. You're like, I'm aware of things. Self-responsibility is like, okay, with this awareness, am I doing anything about it? Like you see situations where people are like, well, I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, like take it or leave it. Like they're self-aware, but they're not responsible with it.
Yeah.
But so I mean, that's just one aspect of it. But I'm just curious to know your thoughts around that.
So that's a very good point, right? Like being responsible of the impact I saw that as a leader, as a person, right? Like, okay, so this is my stance. Then many times what I say is like, but I'm not responsible for the impact that I have, right? So it's like, let's look at it again, right? And see. And it's true, like we are not responsible for the emotions of other people, right? But like bring it to us as well, right? So what is the impact that I want to have? So not maybe the impact that you're having, but what is the impact that you want to have? Do you want to have this impact on these people or not? So yeah, it's I think the responsibility part is there, right? With the impact that you're generating on the people that are surrounding you. And maybe we're not so aware of that.
No, I'm still trying to figure out, because I guess that doesn't necessarily explain like the 20 to 30 range, like why you don't see the things other people are seeing in you. I think, like, are you familiar with the concept of imposter syndrome?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So, and the interesting thing about imposter syndrome, and I need to do more reading on this, but I don't think it's something that ever truly goes away. And maybe you can tell me otherwise, just from all the people I've heard and read about, like even people you are like ultra successful. Like the other day, this is a perfect example. I was just on the news that I was saying that I think most people know who Justin Bieber is. And he was saying that he struggled with feeling that he wasn't enough or didn't deserve where he was. And I'm thinking, like, one of the biggest music stars in the world, like you could see over the years what he's done, and even he struggles with it. And so I've always thought about it, something that never truly goes away. And I think it's more so something that you manage and that you're intentional with speaking to those words of self-doubt.
Yeah. I think you hit the point there. It's not going to be something that disappears. I mean, the imposter syndrome is like a saboteur, right? It's sabotaging you a little bit on the way. And you have to manage it. You have to say like, okay, I understand where this is coming from. And there's always going to be someone that is better than you in everything that you do, right? Even Justin Bieber, he will have like other singers, other artists, dead or alive, that are better than him. Even AI can become better, right? So, there's always going to be someone that is better than you and exactly what you do. Unless you are, I don't know, normally you have someone that is better than you. So then you will always have that feeling of like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I should. And above all, when you have people like that, like Justin Bieber, where he's moving masses, right? Or any other singer, though, like just for the sake of taking this example, right? So they have so much impact. They have so much responsibility. They are moving masses. So imagine like making a mistake. If I make a mistake tomorrow when I go to the leadership team that I have to coach, it's going to be 16 people that realize that I have made a mistake, if they realize, right? But if Justin Bieber is in front of a public, it's going to be thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, right? So it's much bigger. So we're playing in different leagues. But at the end of the day, that fear that we have is the same. It's the same. It's the fear of not doing good enough.
Wow.
So as you were saying, it's about managing it. It's about, saying, okay, yes, the fear is there. Still, I'm going to do it. I shouldn't have this fear, but like when we start talking about shits, I don't like it either. So, hey, the fear is there. Let's try to manage it somehow.
No, I liked how you really compared the magnitude piece. And that's something I didn't really think of, is just the sheer number of people who are able to see when you make a mistake, or for your point, if they even notice you make a mistake. And I think there might be something to that, because I'm thinking like for the younger generations that, and I say younger just like a generation away, but being more like digital natives, maybe that's part of it, is they have always been exposed to the entire world, basically, as opposed to, I remember like growing up having dial-up internet, and sometimes if my mom needed to make a phone call, I needed to get off internet. And it really wasn't until like high school that I even got my first phone, and then the iPhone wasn't even invented until it wasn't even popular until like I was like in college at that point, or like later years of high school.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if it's the technology piece that is amplifying things that kind of can distort the self-awareness to say like, yeah, I'm struggling with all these things, but everyone else, they don't seem to be struggling because they're either not talking about it, or they talk about it in very small doses.
Yeah. And then you have all this social media, right? So many people to compare myself with, and all these people that are there on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever media it is, right? They're all having amazing lives, and they all look amazing. I mean, I always think, like, I see the young people now, and they all look like models. It's like, we didn't used to have that. So for me, comparing myself to the people in my hometown, it was like, okay, I'm not the most beautiful, but I'm not the most ugliest. Like that was it. I did not give it a second thought. But now, like, you see all these people, and it's not about beauty; it's about everything, right? Oh my God, look at these people that they managed to go to this college. Look at these people that they are achieving these things. Oh my God, look at this 14-year-old that he has invented. I don't know what, right? We didn't have so much exposure. We didn't have so much to compare to. Now this generation, I think I think it's more difficult for them to be okay with what they are, because there's so much out there. I struggle with that idea. I struggle.
I definitely agree. I think you're definitely hitting on something, because and it kind of comes down to even what you said, that you earlier, when you took some time, 45 minutes, just listen to a podcast. You weren't on the internet, you weren't scrolling. But I mean, this is kind of like, I don't know if it's that controversial, but I mean, social media only they're companies, and they only do well or make money when we're on them. So it's people's jobs to make sure we're on them and hooked on them. So it's getting harder and harder to detach. And because sometimes I will just take breaks on social media, or I will delete it from my phone. And I've noticed in those moments, I feel a lot better, and I don't have as much anxiety in those moments. But then I think it's just the world we live in. Then you feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Or someone's like, oh, I sent you something, like you didn't respond. And so it's like trying to figure out how to balance that. I don't know are you able to find a balance of social media? What does that look like for you?
The first thing, I don't have TikTok. I don't have X on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I only have LinkedIn, mainly because I use it for my work, and Instagram. And that's it. But I try not to. So something that works for me is just following accounts that will bring me something. So something that I can learn from, something that is interesting for me. I don't follow some friends, because it's like, look, if I really want to know about you, I will call you, or you will tell me, I will know about it. So I'm just trying to follow accounts that I can learn from, where it is related to my topic, to leadership, or where it is related to certain things that I'm really interested about. But I normally don't follow like people. That makes sense.
No,
I follow some professionals that I like and I enjoy listening to them, But yeah, this is it. I try not to follow anything when it comes to fashion or beauty stuff and all that, because then I will go crazy, and also my well-being probably will drop.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm right there with you. I'm really intentional about the people I follow. I still follow some friends, but I mean, there's people I know, but they're not really. I don't have their phone number, so they're not really friends. And so, like, I've met them or like interact with them, and I don't necessarily follow them because I don't even know what it is. I think I'm being more intentional with the things I'm putting in front of me. I think it's been said like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. But I think there's also to your point, like the content that you are consuming on a regular basis is also shaping how you think, how you act.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like what we have to be careful about, right? And above all, if we're like young. So, I mean, I'm thinking now like younger people, right? Like 14 years old, 16 years old that are already on social media, right? We have to really be careful like what they see, because their brain is still getting shaped. And what they think about themselves is still there in the making. So we have to really be careful what we show them, what we allow them to consume. I always think like, like before, when we didn't have social media and all this, people used to consume like magazines, newspapers and stuff. So what were you allowed to buy? I think my mom would allow me to buy like 2 magazines and no more, and that was it. It was quite controlled what I was consuming. Now, children, young people, they have access to everything that is in and out there, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, there are things that are not good for them, neither for us, neither for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately. But as you said, there are companies behind them, right? And they try to hook us, and they try to, it is difficult.
Yeah, it's the consumerism piece of it, which I like. It's really interesting because how do you tackle like this large machine that has billions of dollars? And like I think that's where it comes down to. It has to be something that's internal, because like we can talk about it all day, but until someone has the light bulb go off and realize that, hey, I this is not helping me. This is like I'm either feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, all these different things. I think it's fine in small doses. Just like I have a sweet tooth, so I love desserts and candies, but I cannot eat a dessert and candy every day, every meal.
Exactly.
That's not going to be healthy for me. I think that's the same thing with social media and all these different platforms we're on.
Indeed, it's exactly the same, right? But we're hooked also to sugar, right? And again, there are many companies out there that they make sure that we get hooked to that, right? I mean, sugar has 22 names, right? So that we don't understand that it is sugar. Ethanol, retinol, I don't know what else. These all are 22 names for sugar to keep it true. So that when we buy and we check the ingredients, we don't see sugar and we say like, this should be all right, right?
Mm.
And it happens the same with the phone. Like sometimes you go and you say like, oh, come on, this can't be harmful for me, right? For my brain. But it is. We don't know. Maybe we cannot realize it, but it is. So I think we have to be more savvy into getting to know what may actually harm us.
Absolutely. This is not where I thought this conversation was going to go, but I like
Oh,
it.
but I really like
No,
it.
I like it. I like it too. Which with this piece, and I'm just wondering because I know one of the things you focus on is leading with purpose, and I'm wondering, do you feel like with the different people you work with, is there a generation that is more intentional about doing purpose-driven work? Or is it like you feel like everyone wants it and doesn't know how to do it? Or do you feel like there's one that is like really looking for it?
That's a good question. I think the younger generations are more purpose driven than we were, but now I think like our generation is catching up as well, and they're realizing, oh, let me see, let me see if this is what I want to do or not, right? However, like those ones that have already hit 40, I see a lot of change. Like 35 to 45, there is always like this midlife crisis, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Something happens there. And then like I see a lot of like career change at that time. Okay, I'm not satisfied anymore with this, so what can I do? And then also there is, I guess, a point where you have been working in the corporate world for a long time, and then you say like, well, you know what? I have already accumulated enough knowledge and enough skills to start something myself that is actually aligned with my values, aligned with what I want to give, or aligned with some legacy that I want to leave, right? So I think there is this change, I guess, as we, as wrinkles appear in our faces, we'll go like, let me check if this is what I want to do the rest of my life, right? So I think, yeah, there is a lot of that. Yeah, there must be, I don't know, like, I think it's that age that makes you look at it again and say, what is in here? What do I want to do? What do I really want to do?
That's the key piece. What do you really want to do? And I think this comes up on the show a lot. And some people get to a point that, and I think I got to a little bit earlier, and I think I'm still evolving, changing. I mean, still early on. You're really young too. We're all still so much more life ahead of us.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. But I think you get to a point where you have a lot of lived experiences, and maybe you start to do all the things, achieve the things that you set for yourself, whether you're like elementary school, middle school, and you're either reaching those goals or getting close to those goals and realizing that it is not everything that you hoped it would be. I think that's what you said, like you start to have that midlife crisis, which I feel like I had my midlife crisis when I was like 20.
Okay,
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a crisis. It was just more so like what am I doing, and like what do I really want to do, and just trying to understand it more. Because like even like the stuff with the platform with IncrediPaul is coming up on 6 years I've been doing it. I think that but it started 6 years ago, but the foundations of it were like way before that. And I think it has something to do, I don't know your thoughts, if it's like around the emotional intelligence piece or just the amount of research you do. Go for it.
No, there is one point here, right? So, and there's this theory, the adult development theory, right? So the adult development theory puts us like, so they say that there are like different development phases that happen in a human being, right? So obviously we start with the egocentric phase, which is me, myself, my mama, my toys, my, right? When we're children. And then through adolescence, we go to this phase that is called reactive. So that phase is when you define yourself by the labels that people put on you. And, you go putting those labels in you and you start believing that this is your identity, right? So, Paul, you're so much fun. Oh, Paul, you're so straight. Oh, Paul, you are whatever, right? So those labels that people tell us, and also that we put on ourselves because we feel like, this fits me, right? Oh, I'm strong. Yeah, I'm strong. Whatever. And then, so this is what happens in adolescence. And now the sad thing is that like 75% of the people that have done this assessment, we are in this reactive phase. So we stay in that phase without going to the next phase, right? The next phase, they call it the creative phase. These are not actually the names that they use in the adult development theory. Please excuse me for that. Like they use other that are like these are the ones that I use. So in this creative phase is when we don't let anyone tell us which one is our identity. We start defining our identity, right? And I think this may be somehow sometimes related to this midlife crisis. I'm not sure about it, haven't heard about it. This is my opinion. So, but I think there is something there where we go also, it's also, some people define it I have coached individually many people, right? And some people say, I realized that what got me here, sometimes they say it in other words, but they say, what got me here is keeping me stuck here, and I'm not making the next step. So that's when you have to change, right? That, like, your whole person is asking for a step forward, for like, hey, like, get out of your comfort zone and go see what is out there, because something is asking you, like your own being is asking you to make this step. So just go ahead, right? Obviously, it's easier to get in what we know, and many people will stay in that zone without making the leap, right? But if you make the leap and then you go to the other phase, to the next phase, which what we are calling right now the creative one. And that's when we start defining ourselves by ourselves. And then there are two more phases. The last one is the unitive one, when, you realize that, I am you and you are me, and I'm the wave and I'm the ocean as well. As I said, most of the people stay in this reactive phase where we are still defined by what other people tell us. I think this is a range, adult development theory. This one is by Robert Keegan, I think. I may be mistaken, I think it's Robert Keegan.
Okay.
But yeah, just check adult development theory. I think it's a beautiful theory that explains a lot. Now I went very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's only so much you can get into, but I like that. I have not heard of that before. I'm definitely gonna have to look up that book, and I can link it in the show notes for sure, because I'm always looking for things like that just for my own development. Well, but we have been going for a while. Like, that flew by, but yeah, I know we talked about a lot of different things, but I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to share, either more about yourself specifically, or about what you do with Bare&Brave. I know you shared a little bit about it, but before we close things out, I definitely want, if there's anything you really wanted to talk about, definitely.
No, all that is good. I think, like, if our audience is young, I think the most important thing that I think as age comes, we realize, right, is that you can shape who you are. Like, it's not written in stone who you are. So whatever you think of yourself, whatever you aspire to be, like, you can do that if you really want to do it again, and the really want to is the most important piece in here, right? But don't, like, if you feel like, oh my God, like, I don't like how I react when someone tells me about this, or there are certain things in me that I like to change, do it. It is possible. Don't get stuck with that identity that you put on yourself or that people put on you when you were a child. Just go ahead, discover who you want to be, and try to do that way. And ask for help in the way. There are many people that can help you in that way. It is coaches or therapists or whatever it is. So sometimes it's just going to the gym and finding that one coach that helps you see. So there are many ways to introspection. So it doesn't need to be, if you don't like therapy, you don't like therapy, and that's it. If you don't like coaching, you don't like coaching. Just find your own way. Sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's dancing. So there are many ways. And actually, I would say that these sports can be a good teacher. Sports or any exercise like dancing, right? Because then you're in relationship with your body. And being in relationship with your body will guide you into that self-awareness. So whatever you do, go ahead, do it, but don't get stuck in somewhere that you don't want to be. I think that's the most important.
Get stuck in somewhere you don't want to be. That's a bar. That's powerful right there. And I like how you said there's different ways to approach it, because I think it's really easy to be like, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. But I like that you gave a lot of different options.
Yeah, because there are. And I don't know if this saying is in English as well, but in Spain we say always lead to Rome. Yeah. You probably have something similar to that.
Yeah, we said the same thing. Yep. Yeah.
Now, if you know what Rome is, it will take you there.
It's good. Well, I want to make sure people know how to stay connected with you, whether website, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, all the different ways, if you can share that.
Yeah, so on Instagram, we're like Bare&Brave. Bare like naked. It's not like bear.
Yeah. Yes.
I know because my accent, sometimes I don't pronounce it properly. Not maybe the best choice of branding that I could have done. Bare like naked and brave. Yeah, Bare&Brave. So that's Instagram. On LinkedIn as well. So on LinkedIn it's more Mireia Mujika. So my name, Mireia Mujika. What else? Bareandbrave.com. That's our website. And I think that's it. Also, so if people are interested on this topic, every month and a half, 2 months, we do some webinars, free webinars. So yeah, sometimes it's on leadership, sometimes in collective leadership. So how to bring teams to the state that we want to. Sometimes it's just introspection and self-development. So we talk about these things. So please feel free to join. And yeah, that's it.
I'll make sure it gets linked in the show notes so they know how to spell bear. And it's not like a bear, but bear like naked. That's a good way to remember it. Bare&Brave, as well as Mireia Mujika. No, it's been incredible having you on the show. I just really feel your passion, even though you're literally thousands of miles away from me, being in Dubai and me being in Nashville, Tennessee. Really glad we got connected, get to share about all the stuff you're doing, whether it's from the C-suite, senior level managers, mid-level managers, all the way to working with consultants from, I'm sure they're coming from all over the world.
Yeah, they come all over the world. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, like you are making a change, you are making a difference. And I really appreciate the conversation we had. Like even just being in a moment about just understanding like what is what is happening in this generation with social media and imposter syndrome and just navigating all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So I really, really, really enjoyed the conversation. And I know that we were thinking of other things, but I think the conversation we had is actually very important. Yeah, I think I really feel for this generation, that are that have so much to think of, so many inputs of so many things that sometimes it's difficult to understand or to see or to just get what they really would like to get from media, right? So I think it's a very important conversation. I'm happy we had it. And it was really, really nice to talk to you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I love your energy. And thank you very much. And I hope that if you ever come to Dubai, I hope that you give me a call. Yes. And then we go around to have a coffee or some food.
Absolutely. Dubai is on my list. And now I have a connection in Dubai. So I will take you up on that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Turning to the audience, I know you got something from this conversation. Definitely stay connected with Mireia and all the incredible stuff she's doing. Make sure that you're being self-aware, but don't let your self-awareness keep you from your future either, so you can be incredible.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.